enact where we can. To some of you who are at this meeting or a meeting like this last year, this may seem a little bit like deja vu. From what I understand, VRBO has adjusted some rules again, and it's made it harder on the rental management properties to make their living. And as a partner here in Walton County, the South Walton TDC, we're concerned with that. We want to, at the very least, provide this as a venue to share ideas, to get people talking to each other, and to share ideas with us. Let us know what's going on and what we can do to help, what your ideas are for that. After the last meeting, we walked away with some ideas. We established a Book Direct page on our website that has information, guidelines of best practices some of our partners shared with each other. That way, we also had some graphics that you could put up. That was all at visitsouthwalton.com/bookdirectmessage. Something else we did is we're designing a new website, and we believe that part of that design is going to be using a Book Direct functionality in our website so that we can really push people to one portal, and they will be able to see your rates, see your availability, and book directly through your webpage. So using that system, you wouldn't incur any fees. It's a service that is paid for by the TDC, and we pick up that bill. So that would be a free option. For the larger properties, it's a pass-through. It'll go. You can put all your units on there. For the smaller, and direct that directly to your booking engine on your site. For the one or two property owners, you can actually create a standalone site through there. You can basically use Visit South Walton as your website. And I may have said something wrong just then. So we've got a representative from the company that's doing that. It's okay. So far, so good. With Jackrabbit, that's the company doing it. He's going to come up and tell you a little bit about it. Other people had questions with us about the bed tax collection, how that works with the changes that VRBO has been made recently, what your responsibilities still are or aren't. Those are interesting questions to me, too. As the TDC, we don't actually collect the bed tax. We don't get to see any of your information or any of that stuff that you pass along. It's all done through the Walton County Clerk of Court's office. So Tori with the clerk's office is nice enough to be here today to kind of give a broad overview and answer any questions. Both those presentations, those are something we can do something about and we know a little bit about. And we're going to go through that in just little 5-minute sections, some short question and answer, and then we're going to get some. We've had a volunteer. Is Tyler here? Tyler where? Okay. Tyler's going to kind of give a state of the state as he sees it from the perspective of a bed tax collector and rental management company. It may line up with what you see. It may not, but it'll start the ball rolling. After that, we'll pass a microphone around. If you want to inform the group with a little bit of your understanding, if you want to ask a question, that is great too. I'll be taking notes to see what we can do to help. If any ideas come out of here. One thing, there are probably some people here who are starting, the next VRBO of their own. And if you're here, I ask that you not give a sales pitch. You just identify yourself and say, hey, I'm doing that. This is my website. Talk to me afterwards in the hallway. But just in the interest of everybody's time and keeping this moving along, I ask that you keep it to there. And with that, I'm going to bring Alex up here. He's from Jackrabbit, which is a direct booking portal company.
Yeah. Our main product is Book Direct. Thank you. Nice to be here.
You'll have to be behind that for the camera and the microphone.
Okay. And how should I operate this slide? Thanks, Lisa. All right. So I'm going to keep this to 5 minutes as well as I can. I'm with Book Direct, as David mentioned. Quick background, since 2005, we've kind of turned the OTA model on its stomach. We do not charge commissions at all. We charge a license fee, and South Walton would be taking care of that for you, so there's nothing that you guys have to be involved with at all in that case. So no commissions at all. We have about 250 clients currently around the world. We're the largest provider and only provider around like us. We're the largest because we are the only ones that do what we do. Everybody else is trying to charge commissions, like I understand VRBO is realizing that sort of model as well. So we are not a booking engine. We are a referral engine and content marketing platform more than anything else. We offer dynamic rates and availability because we connect to all of your reservation systems currently. So there's no inventory management for you at all. We are already pulling that data in most cases. We increase traffic on their website. It gives you more direct bookings and only direct bookings. They get real-time data to inform their marketing decisions. And of course, there's no additional inventory management, no GDS, no third-party work that you have to do because we're already collecting all of that data. Sorry, I can't read. CMO partners don't own DMO partners own the customer. So instead of an OTA booking one of your hotel rooms or one of your condos, vacation rentals, you have contact with that client as soon as they get into your funnel. So you then have their email address, you can remarket to them, and that to me is worth even more than the commission probably. And then JRES, David mentioned it briefly. For those of you that might not have a reservation system, this is a good starting point, and it's free of charge. And it will feed into our system through South Walton. And it's a good place to start. It's very light and basic, if I'm being honest, but it's elegant in what it does. And what we generally have is smaller companies or property management organizations come on that are haven't had an online presence, then they realize what they've been missing, and quickly upgrade from our free engine. Thank you. So this is what it looks like. We are a completely white label, so we are not branded. Nothing says Jackrabbit Systems or Book Direct on it. We create our widget, which is there a pointer? Yeah, I guess I can't point over there, though. So on the far left, this is Visit Philadelphia. I'm sorry, it's very small, but we created the widget on the far left, middle right area. It's designed for their webpage. People can type in their dates and more, but in this case it's dates and what they're searching for, lodging. So then our search results page comes up, they find what they want, and then they book directly with you. In this case, it's an IHG property, but it could be your management system. And to make that bigger, I did this today with Breck. So this is what their widget is designed like, just seamless in their website. Somebody finds their dates, they find Park Meadows A1A, Unit 1A, and there's the rate right there. With our software, the unique visitors clicking through using that little search widget back here is 23%, which is pretty outrageous. And that was the 2018 numbers. And this is the JRES slide if anybody has questions about that. But otherwise, how have I done with 5 minutes?
We're good.
All right.
Anybody have any questions about how that might work, or you want to say you love it or you hate it, or you use it, you use it?
So this is going to be on the PDC
Yeah.
for us to use, basically.
Yes, that'll be on.
Program.
One of the problems we kind of addressed last time. Got a tutorial. I'm trying to turn this on. Test. Now? Okay.
There you go.
One of the issues that we were running into last time was how we could use our budget to promote everybody through a direct booking search. So, everybody had the idea that, well, you could just promote my company, which is a good idea for your company. But in essence, we want to be able to put money behind a book direct messaging or a booking messaging, then it has to be on our site. And we wanted it to be something that wasn't going to charge any fees to our partners. And so by the TDC paying the fee on that, then you guys get the functionality and you get direct booking. It books through your site. You continue to manage your site as it is, and this is just basically like a window or a portal.
Is it gonna have a filter where you can go down to different neighborhoods, I mean, as far as, Brayton Beach, Rosemary Beach, Miramar Beach, is there a filter system that's gonna be easier for the consumer?
Absolutely. So it's designed to be seamless. On the left, you up to like 15 different filters. Everything's completely customizable. We can also have, you can barely see it, but
It's user friendly, so when someone comes
it's
on.
very user friendly. So yeah, it's the bounce rate is much slimmer. Like people are already inspired to come here. They're on the website, right? Then they bounce off and might be booking somewhere else. Here they click in their dates and they already have all the information that they need.
I think one of your slides said owner reservation system interface with a lot of them,
Yes, 307.
specifically owner res.
Oh, I'm 98% sure that we do, but 307 is hard to remember. Yes, sir.
How do you get that top slot,
It's completely random.
and how often is it random?
Every search, every query. So these are live rates and availability. So every time somebody searches, we pull the information from the reservation engine.
It's a roulette wheel every single time they hit a search.
Yeah, we can arrange it differently depending on whatever you guys decide, but that's generally how we do it. Yes, but then once you have your date, it can be, you filter it down to however South Walton decides they want to add filters, beach area, whatever it might be. Yes?
What about integration wise, as far as like uploading each property? Each one individual that you would have to upload?
So, yeah, so for those vacation rentals that are, we'd need so in my example, so this is Park Meadows 1A. So I imagine you guys have a property with, 200 different rooms. So we need to know the name of each of those to display them properly. But as far as the back-end work for you, that's really it. We have you'll work with somebody to fill out an Excel sheet of just the data, like coordinates for mapping, if people want to search via map, and everything that you'd expect to find, filtering out. Images. Yeah,
So is
go
this
ahead.
property on like landing page or web page that you want to see?
Oh, I see. So no, but how do you manage your properties, for example?
Well, I have, them on VRBO, Airbnb, and I also have them on my own website.
Okay,
Look at now through OnlyRes, so.
got it. So in your case, you could use JRes, the free reservation engine, and then VRBO, depending on the integration of it, we do link to. So I'd have to talk to you more about that or connect you with our project manager. But there's slight differences in all of them, but we connect to everybody, really. Yes, JRes is the free reservation engine. Yes, ma'am. So do you manage those individually on your website, or do you? I see. In that case, you'd have to use JRes again. You don't use any sort of reservation software? What's it called? V1. I think we connect to that. So in that case, we would pull those rates. We just need the names. So we just need the names of the properties as they're identified in the back end of the reservation system. And then we pull that information. Yeah. Yes. Sounds familiar? Yes.
You said a couple times about market research and data that we collect. So where's that data going? So how are
We don't own any of it, so there's no privacy concerns at all. The only data that we're giving anybody is so they can report to you guys on what referrals are coming through their site. And then of course, there's significant market research. So we can do demographics like.
you're researching demographics? You're not farming out that information or selling it later?
No, not at all. No, it's all in-house and based with our partnerships. So we also connect to, all the major hotel chains. But everything that we have is specifically for marketing purposes in the South Walton.
All right, in the interest of moving things along a little bit, we're going to bring up Tori with the clerk's office. Yeah, that's nice. I go to a lot of meetings in this room, and they never go this well. He'll be around afterwards if you have follow-up questions, and same with Tori.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm told to keep this informal into 5 minutes, so we'll see what we can do about that. I will do my best. My name's Tori Waters. I've likely spoken to, if not you, someone in your office over the last 4 or 5 years. We may or may not have met in person, but nice to put a face to a name. You all know, of course, we have the locally administered tourist development tax of 4% here. What our office does, our staff collects and enforces that. So as you're likely familiar with, as your management companies add units, you send us a form, we put it in the system, you all register by unit. We keep track of all of those. When they leave your program, hop to another one, or decide to self-manage, we follow that, we close the gap, we make sure everyone keeps a level playing field, everybody's collecting the tax, we're getting the tax funds that we're supposed to be getting. So that's as easy of a description as I can give you of what we do. There are several different ways that we do that. We have several procedures in place for registration, enforcement, compliance, all of that sort of thing. I brought plenty of data for that. I'm not going to go into any of it in specifics unless anyone has any specific questions in the interest of time and keeping everything rolling along. So we'll just open it up now. If y'all have any questions, of course, before I do that, I guess I should explain. We are aware of the VRBO situation, effective 12/1. They began with bookings from 12/1 forward, taking the 7%, the portion that you used to remit yourself to the Florida Department of Revenue. We are aware that now that is being remitted on your behalf. I have talked to HomeAway call center. I have chatted online with HomeAway call center, help center people, and have tried to verify as much as I possibly can. We've received and fielded several phone calls from y'all with frustrations about the help center. I do have a different number that I called this morning, and I don't know if it was luck that I caught them at a lull or what, but I actually got a human to answer within the first 2 or 3 buttons that I pressed. It was magic. So I did want to share that phone number with you purely because it worked. So let me go ahead and just do that in the interest of sharing experience there. Let me find it in my data that I brought here. All right, that's 1-512-782-0805. That is an alternative to the 877 area code call number, which I believe is the primary help center number that you call, is that 877 number. I highly recommend the 512 number. I'm sorry? Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry about that. Let me get that. 512-782-0805. So We want to open it up?
You said you've been speaking with VRBO about Humboldt.
Attempting to.
Is this because the county is also going to try and dovetail into what they're doing with the state?
No, sir, that was in response to our phone calls from our taxpayers. We've received several, is an understatement. So we wanted to do the best that we could to be proactive. Of course, we're not party to that agreement, so we don't know all the specifics. I've not gotten to read the contract. I don't know all of those specifics between the Florida Department of Revenue and Expedia and HomeAway, VRBO, and Vacation Rentals. They're full umbrella. I know a little bit from the calls that I've gotten from y'all and the calls that I've had with the Help Center and with the Department of Revenue. But
What about the additional money that the state collects for Walton County? Is that going to flow through that system cleanly, or?
the 1% discretionary, they're collecting that as well, and it will continue to be, just the way that y'all used to file it, and it would get, that 1% would get pushed back to the county, same as always.
The other day, expanding that question.
Mhm.
The state is prepared to keep up with the fact that only part of our rentals go through VRBO and other parts may be direct. How are we
Well-
going to reconcile that?
Now, this is based on my understanding of how Airbnb's agreement with the Department of Revenue works, purely because I've had access to the Airbnb agreement, and to my knowledge from the Department of Revenue, they modeled this VRBO agreement after their experience with Airbnb. So the way that that's working, when they're getting the big fat check from every rental, from all of their umbrella for the full state of Florida, your name or your owner's names or their units are not tied to that check. So it is one would imagine a sizable check, but there is no addendum or support for whom or which units are being paid for. So as far as whether or not they're willing to take on tracking that for you, my answer to that would likely be no. Now, that the Department of Revenue may wish to answer that for themselves, you're welcome to try to give them a phone call, but the way that it's working with Airbnb, I know that that is not what they're receiving.
Well, I guess then it's kind of an honor system again, as to when we pay them the rest of the revenue. It's a little strange.
And they lose a little bit of, the unit registration is a requirement. It's in Florida Administrative Code, which the Department of Revenue wrote as their interpretation of the Florida statute. We're all governed by those Florida statutes. 212 is the governing one. We, by statute 125, are under that umbrella of 212, the same way the state sales tax is governed by statute. Their administrative code reads that unit registration is a requirement. However, that has been foregone, for lack of a better word, in interest of them collecting money from these platforms directly. So, yes, ma'am. Okay, so if we had that phone call, we get that a lot. I'm a brand new management company. I've only got 1 or 2 houses. What all do I need to be charging? The total amount to charge is 11%. That is broken down 4% to our office for the local tax that is paid directly to us. Just for clarification purposes, for the purpose of this meeting, there is no platform that has such an agreement with us to handle anything on your behalf. So that's always going to be between us and you'll register each unit by parcel number. Everything that we do ties back to a unit, to a parcel number. That's for what you're responsible for. What we're responsible for is enforcement. We can tie everything back to a parcel number that we can pull up in the property appraiser records. So what I would tell them is 11%, register by unit. We have a registration form available on our website, on the clerk's website, as well as our tourist development tax website. And they're welcome to call us at 850-267-2040 with any questions.
So no change on what you were providing to you guys, what you said.
That's exactly right.
Same paperwork,
Yes, ma'am. Yep, our website's still available. You can file and pay online. You can file and pay by paper. You can file online and pay by paper if you just prefer a regular check. There's a whole lot of different ways you can break that up. But for us, regardless of platform used to book, whether it be a word of mouth repeat rental that you've got or a VRBO, an Airbnb booked on your website, same across the board, same process, unchanged. Yes, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. They handle the tax on your behalf, but you handle the management of the unit, is the way that their model works. Right. Yes, ma'am. No, that should not change. Everything would be the same. What would be different, if I'm Avalara, I'm gonna need to know your 4% to remit for you. Any rentals booked through those certain platforms would not need to report, you would not need to report that to me if I was Avalara. Because of course, they're no longer that pass-through entity. That would have been cut out by the agreement from VRBO to DOR. But from what I understand, they're still doing everything as usual. They'd still file on your behalf if you are one of their clients. No, ma'am. Not to my knowledge. Oh, all those hands I feel like went up at the same time, so I'm gonna just work this way. Yes, ma'am. Well, that depends on whether or not you have or intend to have any rentals outside of, say you only advertise on VRBO, but you get a word of mouth rental, you would still need your registration with the state to be able to remit that. So if you intend to or have an annual snowbird rental, let's say, that comes every year, they don't book through an engine, they just call you personally, you would know you'd need to keep that state license number active so that you'd be able to file. So in the meantime, the unfortunate part of that is you would have to file a zero return by the due date every month to avoid a penalty charge. Then in that case, no, ma'am. I would call and verify for sure purely because I do not work for the Department of Revenue, but my assumption for that, and I will call it an assumption, is that you would close your account. You would need to contact them to close it. Sure. Well, I feel like everything I say comes with a caveat, but it would if he presents to you a Florida sales tax exempt certificate. If it is not a Florida specific sales tax exempt certificate, like for example, when we travel with the county, I have one to show. It would have to be with the Florida at the top. It can't be Louisiana, Tennessee's, Alabama's tax exempt certificate. I have been told, I've not ever applied for one myself, but I have been told that if you're exempt in another state, say you're exempt in Texas, it's fairly simple to become Florida exempt if you need to do so. From what I understand, you kind of just show you approve for it there and they approve you here. That's, I think, through the Department of Business and Professional Regulation or the Department of Revenue. So one of those two would be able to answer that question more specifically with form names and codes and things like that. But as far as your question goes, they would be exempt from us and the sales tax if they've got that Florida sales exempt. Yes. Yes, as long as he can show you proof of exemption or military ID, he would be exempt. Well, the military is a separate thing. There are levels with the military. So if it is that he doesn't have a certificate to show you, he has a military ID, I'll meet me afterward, or I'll go ahead and just give you our phone number again, give me a call or come on down the hall and we can go over what those are, because there are 4 different levels of things that apply to military. That's just a special case versus regular government employees, staff. That's just a separate kind of specific case. Yes.
I was just going to answer her first question about calling the state, because I did call them.
Yes, okay.
And you will be charged a penalty if you don't file a zero tax return.
Yes.
You get like a $50 penalty.
Yeah, that is the minimum per Florida
You have to
statute.
do that, or, like you said,
Deactivate.
deactivate.
Right. And I know there were some hands, I don't want to miss them back here. The owner is ultimately responsible. That is true, by Florida statute.
How do you protect them when they're audited, when you're audited?
For, in which case? Like
For
through
VRBO?
VRBO situation? Again, I've only read the Airbnb agreement. I have not laid eyes on the one with HomeAway as the other party. But if they modeled it to match the Airbnb agreement, then they're supposedly protected. In the instance with Airbnb, the way that they had the agreement worded, you'd have to, like if Department of Revenue was going to audit them, they'd have to go through an audit of the Department of Revenue have to do an audit of the full company of Airbnb before they would audit that individual, supposedly per that agreement. Now, of course, as far as me, our office, if we found that you were not filing, we've got back taxes, you're not responding to our registration emails or notices, you get a final notice and we go through with an audit of some kind, we would not be party to that agreement, so we would conduct an audit just as usual. Nothing would change with our enforcement abilities because, of course, we are not under that VRBO umbrella. We are not party to that agreement. We're not getting the blank check, essentially. We're still getting, if it was a management company unit and for some reason we're doing an audit on that, they would still be responsible. We would go through the normal audit procedures.
But as a rental management company, the DOR is going to hold us responsible. So the onus is on us to prove that that was a VRBO reservation, and right? And we're going to have to keep records because VRBO doesn't have reports.
VRBO will not have any. Yeah, no, they're getting the big check, so they have nothing with your units tied to it. So as far as how that would all go, that would be between you and the Department of Revenue. But my guess is you're probably right. I find a hard time answering those because I don't want to be misquoted. But I will try to answer everything I can. Yes, the Florida statutes have not changed. They do still read that the owner is ultimately responsible.
Okay, if we could get any other questions for Tori afterwards, just again in the interest of respecting everybody's time and moving along. Tyler Weir with 360 Degree Blue. Just most of you in this room dealing with VRBO know more than I do about it. So my move here today has been to bring in people that can speak more knowledgeably about it. His experience might not be yours, but we want to start the sharing of ideas and understanding through here. So, Tyler,
thank you much. Again, my name is Tyler. I represent 360 Blue. We have just under 600 properties that we manage. We've been in business a little over 10 years, and so you can only imagine how many changes that HomeAway and VRBO have brought about in our company's existence. I'm just curious, how many of you in this room are IPMs or integrated property managers? Okay, and the rest of you, I assume, would be rental by owners? Okay, so again, HomeAway calls us IPMs or integrated property managers. We are a HomeAway software client. We use Escapia as our property management system. And so this is more or less, for you IPMs and how it would obviously relate to you guys. Of course, HomeAway continues to, release ongoing changes. Just within the last 12 months, we've seen secure messaging, higher subscription fees. They've removed our branding from all of our listings, most recently moving premier partners from the company level to individual property levels. And then obviously ongoing concerns around, the bad tax collection process. Like many of you IPMs, we went into deep discussion and continued to go into deep discussion internally about what a post-VRBO world may look like for us and what sort of concerns come with that. Although it's easy to get frustrated about their changes, what's even more important is how fast the digital marketing in general is changing, more specifically in travel. In light of all these changes, HomeAways included, we at 360 Blue have opted to adapt our marketing strategy accordingly. We utilize HomeAway's marketplace as a customer acquisition tool, listing all of our inventory on the platform. Of course, we continue to test other local and national listing sites, as I would certainly encourage you all to do the same. We're definitely excited about the TDC's, Book Direct campaign, and we're definitely going to jump on board when it's time. Our ongoing choices consist of focusing on obsessing over the care and experience of our existing and repeat guests as well as owners, and making it seamless for them to come back and book direct with 360 Blue each and every year. A little over 12 months ago, we dropped some data and looked at what our direct versus OTA booking percentage was. 70% of our guests book direct, while 30% come through our OTA channels. And of course, after adapting, we're proud to say 12 months later, 80% of our bookings for 2019 have been direct, while 20% are coming through OTA channels. So we know HomeAway, and as well as all these other OTA marketplaces, and the digital marketing space is ever changing. The encouraging takeaway in all of this is we all obviously must continue to adapt to any change that comes our way and never lose sight of the power of our database and great guest service. So as an IPM, we all have an account manager, and so we tried to get in touch with our account manager ahead of the meeting today. And that fell on radio silence. However, we did get in touch with somebody from the IPM team, and they basically told us, which some of this may be just a reiteration, that the state of Florida, HomeAway is now collecting in 24 counties for owners, not IPMs currently. So individual homeowners who are using HomeAway payments, obviously HomeAway is the merchant of record, therefore that is why they are collecting and remitting. We do actually have a few one-off homeowners in Okaloosa County that manage their own OTA listings themselves, and so we have actually been impacted, by this change. Although we are an IPM, and so we're working through the process of how this is going to work for us ongoing. And obviously, being in marketing, I'm not necessarily affected by the financial flow and the taxes and everything, but we did jump into our accounting team's office right before we headed up here to get their impact in all of this and how it may ever relate to IPMs if this were to take effect. And obviously the greatest concern would be how it would impact cash flow. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, all right. I really appreciate that. Again, one of the key points he brought out was a solid point from last time too, which was if you use VRBO, if you use any of these outside engines to bring guests, that's great. That's good. Keep doing that. But once you get them that first time, if you provide the service, if you provide the personal connection, you can hopefully convince them to book direct through you next time. And last time we had this meeting, in fact, somebody from VRBO was here, and they stood up and they said that as well. They said, we'll get them for you once, but if we get them for you twice, shame on you. You should have made that connection. Cards, gear in your room, meeting them, shaking that hand, and whatever benefits you can provide them by offering that book direct service. I want to take a moment to pass the microphone around a little bit. If anybody has any comments or questions, or even would like to come up. Again, if you're offering a booking engine, just identify yourself and invite people to talk to you afterwards.
I was just going to ask what the time frame, if you're putting together a new website, what the time frame for all this, and is there something we can be doing now to build the property?
Good question about the time frame that the website will be launched. We're looking at having it going in March. In the meantime, if you already have listings on our website, that's already free. Lisa, who invited you here today, is a great contact to make sure that you're on there and that you're getting the most out of our CMS right now.
With regard to the website, I would assume it's going to function the same way as the visitor guide. Likely y'all are all partners and already part of the visitor guide, but you're aware that in order to participate in the visitor guide, you do have to be registered with our office for bed tax collection. So that would be something that would apply to this offering as well, I would assume.
I want to keep it legal. Any other questions or experiences that you wanted to share? Success stories or any tips, anything like that?
I'm just wondering if anybody's using Emerald Coast by owner and what your experience is. Because they purchased, I think, another company. Right, and they're merging. And they're very aggressive in their marketing. I get a call every day. Okay. So you would recommend them? Thank you. Yes, we are.
Hi, this is Joe with Emerald Coast by Owner. Good timing, thank you. We did just recently purchase all the assets of Destin, Florida. We will be coming out with a brand new website. So that if you go to Destin, Florida today, you'll see our notice that a new website is coming. That website will cover from Fort Walton through Walton County into the 30A area. It'll be like a Travelocity type experience with all the vacation rentals that are listed now on Emerald Coast by Owner in those areas will automatically be put up there. But we'll also get into the marketing of restaurants, fishing charters, everything else that has to offer. And we appreciate everybody that supported us. We have not been able to meet everybody personally, but you guys have been great. We really try to hit the Facebook marketing hard. So if you want to contact me afterward, I'd be glad to show it to you. And we've got coffee mugs outside.
Thanks for keeping them outside. And he mentioned Destin there. I know a lot of you have properties across the Gulf Coast. For today, we're South Walton, and that's where we collect the bed tax. So everything we say just applies to that.
And for somebody who's only familiar with this, is it similar in the other counties and area across the coast with the percentages that are collected? All 4%, everybody the same?
We're actually a little, we're lower for some reason. We're at 4%, Bay County is 5%, Destin's 5%, Orlando's 6%.
I retract the question.
You go up to New York and you don't, I think it's like 9. Yep, so bargain pricing over here right now. It's not really our thing usually.
Was it the state of Florida or Airbnb or VRBO who pushed the process that our taxes would be collected through them? Who was that? Who started that process? VRBO. Okay.
Airbnb actually did it first. Airbnb pursued it first a couple of years ago with the Department of Revenue, and now VRBO pursued it. My best guess would be in order to compete and have a similar offering to the other big guy out there. So that's my understanding is it was pursued both by the companies to the state rather than the state pursuing. But that's only my understanding. Someone at the state may tell you differently, but from what I understand, Airbnb pursued, and now likely VRBO or the Department of Revenue came together to follow suit, to compete.
Can you tell you the Florida Restaurant Lodging Association is on this at the state level too? There's your big players, the flags have a problem with it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, nobody seems to be real happy about this. That is standard.
Several years ago, Tori, the Florida DOR, you know, because we submit when we release a property or add a property, submit the DR, yeah, 1C. And y'all were working out a thing where you would communicate with each other on that. Is that the case when we submit our DR1Cs and release from that they're filtering that down to you?
They do not filter anything to our office except new registrations. So that would be a new owner who's self-managing, registering with them. We do get that. We get registration notification of a new management company, but that's essentially creating the new entity that will be filing. So they do not, if they're under your umbrella, I do not get a copy of your DR1C or even a listing. So that's why we have our own form that is our version of the DR1C. It's an addition form, and we have a deletion form as well. They're available on our website at touristtax.com/Walton under forms and downloads.
Okay, and I get your emails, many.
Yes, we send a few.
And I wondered if anybody else had had the same problem. When you click on your property listing, you get some kind of, I've got a picture of it on my phone, file error, don't open this file.
We have had, in December, there was a website issue, our web host, Pioneer.
It's been going on for years.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say, we did have an outage for about a week. Some of y'all may have encountered
Okay.
that. We do apologize for that. If you've got an error message that's persisting for that long, please send me a screenshot of it. I can get with our web host and we can get that resolved, because
Okay.
I've not been notified of anyone else having an issue to that extent. So,
I just move on and do it a different way.
okay. Well, we can work on that. We can definitely work on that. Anyone else? I'm going to sit back up.
I just want to say, I'm John Toombs with Harmony Beach Vacations, and we use Rent 30A in the area, and Phil is going to be quiet over there. Raise your hand, Phil. He can talk to you about their services as well.
Afterwards.
And just for somebody who's new, when they're throwing terms around, OTA, ATA, DTA, DC1, DRC1, DR1.
DR1C.
And what is that?
Department of Revenue, if 1C is just the addendum portion. The DR1 is your registration form with the Department of Revenue. DR1C is just your addendum filing a new property. It's their version of our addition form, which I'm sure y'all are all familiar with.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We might stay up there.
Yeah, all right, here we are.
Anybody else? All right, seeing none, I really appreciate y'all coming out. If you have suggestions for us, please pass them along. We're all ears. We would love to be able to help in some way. Otherwise, we'll keep you posted on our new website and how that is coming on. Yeah, we absolutely could do that. If we need to set up a training of some sort, we'll make that happen. All right, thank you very much.